And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome, especially because it is Cyber Monday. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You will also see the books by our next guest. You all know him as an actor, a director. He's also a best-selling author. I'm talking about the one and only Eriq LaSalle. He's celebrating this new book, Laws of Annihilation. We're going to talk to him not only about the new book, but also what's been like for him to craft these stories that are really ripped from the headlines and to be able to engage with readers like yourselves. If you guys have not been able to get your copies, now is the time to do so on Amazon. As I mentioned, this book is actually on sale right now for Cyber Monday. We can also get the other books in the Law series as well. For us tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, we welcome you all to the broadcast as well. Make sure you guys click that link that will bring you over to Amazon if you don't have the books by Eriq, so you can add it to your own reading list too. But Eriq, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
The pleasure is definitely all mine. Congratulations to you on all of your success, but especially this year with the success of your newest book, another bestseller, Laws of Annihilation. What has it been like for you, Eriq, to be able to see the way that readers are responding to the book?
Well, I mean, it's great because it's been a long journey, and you live with these characters, and then when you put them out in the world and to see how they're received, and to the feedback is always, it's a fast-paced read. I couldn't put it down. I fell in love with the characters. It's been a pleasant surprise of people even saying, well, I don't normally read thrillers. I don't really like this. This is not my genre. But then they go, but I fell in love with your characters. And before I knew it, I was just, through that book. And then I started on the other books. So it's nice to just have all of this stuff come together. And I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Did you know from the very beginning, Eriq, that it was going to be a series?
Not really. No, I started off, I just wanted to tell a story. I had a story in my head. And so I wanted to tell a story. And I wrote that one, and then I think the characters just were so strong, and it's loosely based on the characters in Seven, where you have these these two New York City detectives that are the best at what they do. They investigate high profile serial killings, and then they team up with a Jewish FBI agent, and so it just sort of became this inherent franchise. And so then I thought, well, maybe I'll do a trilogy. And then you go in and you go, well, I got to tell this character story, and I have another story. So I'm currently working on books 4 and 5
Wow.
at this time. So we'll see how far it goes. But yes, it has definitely evolved from one book into a full-on series.
Talk more about that, Eriq. The comments are already coming in. Hello to you guys over on the Amazon platform. If you guys are just tuning in, as you guys can see, Eriq LaSalle is our guest today. We're talking with him now, of course, about his success, but also his newest book, Laws of Annihilation. Hello to you, Latonya Fleming, joining us on Facebook. Latonya says, "OMG, I've been a fan. So good to see him on your show, Cyrus." Yeah, we're glad to have him as well. Jacqueline, hello to you. Jacqueline Cox is also joining us over there on Facebook. She says, "Can't wait to purchase. I love crime investigation books and TV shows."
She'll
And
love
that's
this.
yeah,
She'll love
that's
this. Yeah, she'll love this because one of the things, and thank you for that. I'm glad she's a fan. But one of the things about it is, people also say that the books are very cinematic. So of course, my background in film and television has great influence. So when people read the books, they're like, man, this is like reading a movie. It's like, it just moves and I can see it, and everything is very visual. So I think she's going to have a great read with it. And I also encourage readers to reach out to me. I'm very accessible. It's funny because sometimes I'll respond to someone on social media. And one time I did that, and they were like, "Yeah, I know this is your assistant," and I'm like, "No, it's really me." So
yeah.
after people read it, I love engaging in conversations with it. So after you guys read it, reach out to me.
Love that. Love that. Verna also on Facebook says hello to you as well. Eriq, that's the cool thing about you. I've noticed when I was prepping for this segment that you have been able to, of course, the literary community is its own beast in itself. So there are fans who just love great books, and when they find out about an author who's written a great book, they're going to read it. But you also have a built-in base when it comes to what you've been able to do, for film and television. What has that been like for you to see the two of those groups coming together?
Well, For me, it's an advantage because each discipline influences the other. Uh,
Mm,
Being an actor made me a better director. Being, of
mm,
course, a director and an actor made me a better executive producer. Uh, Being all of those things have now helped me to become a better author, and then vice versa. Being an author reaches back and helps me to become a better storyteller, whether I'm directing, producing, or acting. So they all feed each other. And I just really just go by one title, which is, storyteller. And
mm.
instead of treating everything so separately, I just appreciate being a storyteller and having the opportunity to tell, I think, very intriguing stories.
And you've been able to do that. And I think one of the characters that really drives Laws of Annihilation, and yeah, you guys are going to really love this book, is the character Janet Macklin. So I want to talk about Macklin because I think Macklin is a very layered character. I'll say
Yes.
that. And I'll
Yes.
talk around some of this for those who haven't read it yet. But the main thing is, I mean, Macklin is known for her work, and rightly so. She's good at her work. But she also is dealing with human, issues like we all do. What
Mhm.
was it like for you to create a character that has to it appear superhuman at times, but also deal with the real world issues around her?
Well, I think, you know, you want to tell universal stories. And in telling universal stories, you have to have characters that people can relate to. They don't necessarily have to always like or love every character, but they have to be able to relate to them. And so Janet Macklin, who is a very, she's so dedicated to her work. But she's lost out on things in life. And so I think people can relate to, oh, I made this a priority, and in the process, it's cost me something. So now you have a character who's in the process of this horrific case, in the process of some health issues that she's experiencing. She is also finding her center. She's finding her connection to other people. And so it humanizes her even more as she goes through this dehumanizing case and dehumanizing health issues. So it's just something that I think is really, really important to have people that you can relate to. And that's the thing that I really, one of the many things I admire. She's driven, she's smart as hell, she's talented, but like I said, she has sacrificed so much of her personal happiness and personal things for her career and for
Yeah.
doing what she feels is her calling. So now you have to try to find that balance. And I think we all do, many of us do that in varying degrees. This, of course, is a much more animated version and highlighted version. But I think we all have that challenge. And I think many women have it even more in trying to combine professional women, work and personal life and family and all of those things. And so I think it just raises some very topical issues.
Love that. Love that. Midnight Ace Book Bar, hello to you on the Facebook side. This hello. I've been looking at this one. Glad that you could be able to be here for us. And make sure you guys get the new book, Laws of Annihilation. It's on sale right now for Cyber Monday. Told you guys we had some great deals for you. She says, sounds like a layered character, and I love that. I think that's the big thing for a lot of people here. Dr. Velma's joining us from the West Coast. She says hello to you as well. And she also says, True must have relatable characters. And I
Yes.
think it's these characters that are so interesting. Deborah Owsley, good to be able to see you as well over there on Facebook. Facebook's showing out today over there. So I appreciate you guys being with us. Deborah says complex characters. Definitely complex. And another one of those is the Brox. And again, I'm going to talk around this, Eriq, because I think it's so fascinating. Before I get too much into that, one of the things, and I'm not giving anything away when I make this comment, because they can read the back of the book to be able to know, race is a big part of this book as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which it is for a lot of people on the daily basis. But we definitely are in interesting times right now in this country with everything that's going on, especially since October 7th, with the attack in Israel. Could you have known when you were writing this book, Eriq, that it would be so timely when it came out?
Well, in writing this book and after and doing interviews, I've started saying this phrase. I don't know if I've coined it. I don't know if it's existed.
Mm,
But the phrase that I say a lot is there's a thing called there's what I refer to as the algorithm of hate.
mm,
And so if you sort of follow that cycle, it's like every 3 months, every 4 months, something happens. Whether we've seen, we're experiencing the greatest rise of anti-Semitic crimes. We'll see African Americans, maybe being killed by a cop, or not that only African Americans are being killed by cops, but so there's an algorithm, and so in the course of writing this, that algorithm was staying true. Now, no one could have predicted, and I feel challenged, promoting a book, and then comparing it to the horrific incident of October 7th. But it is this thing that keeps happening and keeps happening. And if we're paying attention, we are not surprised that horrible things continue to happen. Of course, this is on a whole different scale, but so that it makes the book, people like, oh my God, this is so timely. But you're writing about, the race issues and race war and anti-Semitism and anti-minority, anti-women, anti-gay. That stuff has been happening, and violence has been happening so frequently that if you stop and pay attention to it, you can sort of dissect it and dissect the algorithm of it. And so that's what I think has lined up with the release of this book.
Got you. I want to get more into that and Macklin's conversations and confrontations with the Brocks. But I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon. It is Cyber Monday. If you guys are joining us live, you're watching the replay, you guys are definitely in for a treat. We're excited to welcome actor, director, and best-selling author Eriq Salle to our broadcast today. We're discussing his journey as a storyteller, but also his brand new book, already a bestseller, Laws of Annihilation. It's out now, so definitely make sure you guys get your copy. Over on the Amazon side, you will also see the other books in the series as well. I also want to welcome those joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. I appreciate you, Melissa Banks. Say hello to you. Glad to be able to see you there as well. Midnight Ace Book Bar says, excellent question about timing. Appreciate that. So I want to talk about Ellis Brock, senior and junior. Anytime we've heard like father, like son, this is a perfect example of this. So again, I'm going to talk around this. So you all make a note of what I'm saying here. So when you get to it in the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Miss Queenie, hello to you. Good to be able to see you. You have Ellis Brock Jr., giving, Macklin this read down, about history and praising an individual who's very notorious. I'll say that. And kind of talking about his role in life, and of course the pride of his father, and and him giving Macklin this history lesson. And before the father, of course, bringing up that Macklin, we should let our audience know, is also Jewish, also a Jew. Talk to us about those dynamics. Talk about storytelling, Eriq. When I got to that part of the book, I thought to myself, wow, here's this person again in Macklin who's so used to being in control. Definitely not as much in this situation. What was that like for you to bring these different forces together?
Well, going back to my education of being an actor, I'm blessed to have been classically trained at Juilliard and NYU and grad school. And that right away as actors, we learned that don't judge your characters. As an actor, I don't play bad guys. If I'm presented with that character, bad people don't necessarily see themselves as bad. They see, and if you take some of the most historic villains in literature, Shakespeare, Richard III, Iago from Othello, these are people that feel justified in their actions, no matter how heinous their actions may be. And so people to this day will do that. And so when I write characters, no matter how much I may disagree with their philosophy, I try to embrace it in such a way that it is objective and for them to make a point, even if someone says something that I fundamentally disagree with. I think that's how you create stronger, more credible characters. Like I don't want to have caricatures, whether they're good or bad. quote unquote. I want to have characters that on this side you see it, on that side. So sometimes in the series, particularly in the first book, people were torn because they found themselves rooting for the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, this feels weird. But if you think of something like Silence of the Lambs, here we were at the end of that movie, we were rooting for a cannibal. When Anthony Hopkins says, I'm having a friend for lunch, the audience was like, yeah, you know what I mean? So we're rooting. Why? Because the character was so multi-layered and so three-dimensional that we got into it. So when we're dealing with something even as heinous as what the Brock Senior's mentality is, I want to present it in such a dynamic way that people can hear what they are saying, whether they agree with it or not. And then the fact that from a generational point of view, like you say, like father, like son, what's the accountability of one generation having a philosophy and how that's handed down to the next generation? And what does the next generation do? Do they correct it or do they double down? And so that's the mystery of his son, who also tells Macklin, hey, I disagree with my father on this and blah, blah, blah. So, from the mouths of babes, sometimes it is more frightening. So that's why you have that very interesting exchange between Macklin and the Bronx.
Yeah. I want to go a little bit deeper with that, Eriq, for a second, because there was a comment from Jacqueline. I want to read it too, because I think it ties into this. Jacqueline says, unfortunately, these things will continue to happen. So in writing, it just makes the book more realistic. Appreciate that, Jacqueline. And Deborah says she met you at NBCC this past summer.
Oh, yes.
But I wanted to touch base on what you were saying about the villains. Because when I was reading this also, Eriq, the thing that also came to mind is you can understand why some quote unquote hate groups are so popular.
Right.
Because it really, listening to the Brock's rationale, it's almost like it becomes an us against them. Like we're doing this so that we have a place. Our place isn't taken. So they almost make themselves the victim. And people who feel like they have been taken advantage of or feel like they have been left out of something or excluded can relate to that thinking, which is why I mentioned to you before we went live here, there's a really chilling line that the father says to Macklin in the book where he says, basically, if one falls, more will rise.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
One dies, more rise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that to be this haunting image, like, what we used to say back in the, we don't die, we multiply,
Right.
And so it's the same concept of good and bad, because I do think hopefully that the works of, Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Nelson Mandela, we believe that as these great leaders fell, more their philosophy spread in such a way and nurtured the soil to fertilize us, that we carry that on. But that also happens with hate. That also happens in the negative sense. So we have to, keep doing it. We have to be aware. So that is a very chilling line when he says that, one dies, we come back even stronger. And then that's one of the last things that one of the characters says. So even if you feel like you stop this generation of bad guys, there are more. And if you feel you've stopped this generation of good leaders, there are more. And so, and that's why there will always be a constant battle.
Mm-hmm. And I thought about that exact point, Eriq, when I read that, thinking who he was talking to. And thinking about that probably was Macklin's mentality too. That even if she failed, that there would be, as we see in the book, and that's the last part I want to talk to you about at the end about her not being alone. I do want to say, Laquita says she agrees with that 100%. Hello to you, Laquita. Also joining us over there on Facebook, Lachelle Atkins. Hello to you. She says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to be able to see you, Lachelle. Manswell says hello as well. Appreciate you being with us. Greg over there on Amazon, we appreciate you watching as well. If you have any questions or comments for Eriq, make sure you guys put those in as well. Laquita also says, almost like the circle of life. Very true, for
Mhm.
sure. And Tamika, hello to you as well. Glad you all could join the conversation. If you guys are coming in late, if you're joining us on Amazon or the other platforms, don't worry. The replay of this will be available. Also, let's not forget, it's Cyber Monday. And Eriq has his book, Laws of Annihilation, on sale right now. You can also get the other books as well. Before I get into my last point, Eriq, I do want to mention one thing. I called it, and I've seen other people online call it the Law series, but on the cover of the book, on each one of the books, it's a Mortar Maker novel. Talk to us about how you came up with the name of this series and what it meant for you.
Well, in the very first book, we have an antagonist who is basically willing to be a martyr for his cause. So and then that became sort of the mentality throughout all of the books, that and at the same time we have the good guys as well willing to be martyrs. And
Yeah.
so meaning that they are willing to die for what they believe in. They're willing to. And so when you have those two forces, so it was called the Martyr Maker series, but a lot of people call it the Laws series. I'm fine with either one. But that's where it came from. And so here we that theme continues, because we have Macklin is willing to die for the cause. Our two partners are willing to die for the cause. The antagonists are willing to die for their cause, and that's what makes it a very interesting thing. But that's why it's called the Martyr Maker series.
Got you. Shondaland, hello to you. Good to be able to see you. That's my cousin joining me from Mississippi. Glad you could join us, Sean. I'm behaving myself, I promise. I do want to say, for those joining us on the Amazon side, we are talking about Laws of Annihilation, which is the newest book. But if you guys see, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it for you guys in the carousel on Amazon. We also have Laws of Wrath is there as well. It's 44% off. You can be able to get it. And also Laws of Depravity, you can see it there. You guys can actually get the Kindle edition, you can see, for only 99 cents. Then the paperback is on sale right now, 38% off for $10.55. So make sure you guys do click through on the carousel, and there you can get the other books in the Mortar Maker series as well. Last thing I'm going to talk to you about, Eriq, and again, I appreciate the time, is the fact that Macklin is not alone. As we alluded to, and our audience will see when they read the book, she's not only dealing with this big case professionally, but she's dealing with something personally. We're able to see, though, that she is not by herself in this. How important was that for you to make sure she had a support system?
Well, that's one of the major themes of the entire of the book, which is this tribalism. And so they are the tribes that we are born into. They're the tribes that we pick and that we choose. Sometimes we're stronger. Our bonds are stronger with friends and relationships that we create. And when people talk about blood is thicker than water, they don't understand that phrase is actually just the opposite. The blood of the convent, that the true thing is the blood of the convent is stronger than the water of birth. So if you choose a tribe, they're saying that that's stronger because you're making a conscious choice. You can be born into something that you don't belong to, but you choose what you belong to. So most of us get that quote wrong. And so this is a book about tribalism. This is a book about good tribes, bad tribes, religious tribes, professional tribes, social tribes. And Macklin, who has been a bit of, she's been a bit kithless. She's been on her own, learning to surrender and learning to surrender to the support of people that love her and that care for her. And so she's been so traumatized from some stuff in the past that she has walked her journey alone. But the interesting thing about the books, and when we talk about characterization, I make my characters go through hell. My protagonists, my three characters, they go through hell to come out on the other end, hopefully a better version of themselves. And so part of her journey, and we don't, the mystery and the suspense is, will she make it? Will be, if she does come out on the other end, will she be better? Will she be more connected to her tribe? Not just the tribe, because she's not close to the people the tribe she was born into. She's not close to them. She becomes closer to the people she works with. She becomes closer to even people that she meets on this case, because it reveals certain things. So I find that very fascinating. But this book is essentially one of the major themes is tribalism, and that's in how we explore that.
Love that. Great conversation, a great book, Eriq. We do have a last a question here. This is kind of an author question here. Please share your insight on writing a series. How do you decide where one book ends and another begins? Before you answer that, if I can just say one thing, Eriq, as a reader, and you tell me what was intended. This is a great standalone book as well. Even if people have not read the other books in the Mortar Maker series, this is a great standalone book. But talk to us about that for yourself, as the question alludes to, Eriq. How do you decide where one book ends and another begins?
Well, I think, starting with your point, I think all of the books serve as a standalone. And that's of course because it's a series.
Mhm.
But they should be standalones. And someone told me right away, they were like, look, you want people to be able to just pick this up. But then you realize, like, for instance, people that are Star Wars fans, like if they've watched every Star Wars, they get what I call cookies that other people might not get. And sometimes it could be something simple. You're like, oh, what did that red coat mean? Oh, well, remember back in book one or in the movie one, the first movie, that represented something. So it's finding a balance of writing a series and at the same time having the individual books be connected and yet able to sort of be read as a standalone. So as far as how do I end a book, I love ending a book making you want more. So there is always a cliffhanger that leads into that, gives you, oh my God, I got to see how this is resolved. So that, of course, motivates you to check out the next book. So there's certain things that one has to do, I think, to create a very intriguing series. Like I said, I think there should be enough connective tissue. Obviously, like for instance, the first book ends on such a cliffhanger that I do prefer for people to read the first book before the second book, because by the time you read the second book, you will already know what that thing was. But when you read the first one and you get to the end, you're like, oh, wow, this was a major twist. So again, even though the first and second book are standalones, they are most appreciated when read together. This book, we reference things from the first and second book. We end it with a reference to the first and second book, but at the same time, it serves as a standalone. So there's some key things in creating a series and creating a standalone thing and creating cliffhangers, and you can't always control how a reader reads your books. And the great thing that I'm experiencing is that people are going back. Even if people read this book first, they're going back and reading the first and second book, and that's really all you want as an author. So, those are my keys.
Love that. Deborah says, love twist. And we definitely love this time with you, Eriq. Congratulations to you again. Again, everyone, Laws of Annihilation is the newest book. Make sure you guys do get it for yourself, especially today. You guys can get that extra savings and the other books as well being on sale. Make sure you guys pick those up on Amazon as well. If you guys are not joining us on Amazon, the link is there to bring you over to Amazon to be able to take care of that for yourself, to add them to your shopping cart. And don't forget to check out. Eriq, thank you for the time. How can our audience stay connected with you?
I'm on all socials. And so Eriq LaSalle 23. And like I said, particularly on IG, I definitely respond to people and engage with readers. And but I'm on Facebook, I'm on IG, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on X. So and like I said, definitely love to engage with people. So I'm Eriq LaSalle 23, and then I am Eriq LaSalle 23 is my website. And that tells you all the events, the book signings, and also my other job, which, directing and producing and whatever events I have going on, and whatever shows I'm doing. I'm just ironically doing a show. I'm directing a show for Dick Wolf that will be streaming on Amazon. So I'm directing that, executive producing that, and also acting in it. So it's interesting. Wow. The whole Amazon family. Yeah. But we on the website, we also have information about basically the books and my directing, acting, and producing career as well.
Love that. Hello to you, Angela. Hello to you, Sherry Lee. It's good to be able to see you. Hello to you, Lawana. Good to be able to see you. You guys came at the end, so you have to go back and watch the replay here. Again, Eriq, really appreciate you. And we thank all of you for being with us for another great episode of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. Again, make sure you guys get the new book, Laws of Annihilation, on sale right now for Cyber Monday by the one and only storyteller, Eriq LaSalle. Make sure you guys also are following him for all the great updates. And until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you.
That was awesome.